And we're back to the prophecies of Isaiah. Now, God let the people know that even though they were a despised people, that he would use them to bless all the nations of the earth. How? Through the Messiah, who would come from their lineage and save all the people from every tribe and every nation. The Lord indeed chose Israel to be his instrument of making himself known to the entire world. Israel, on the other hand, felt forgotten by God, most likely because of their predicament and as a result of the exile, which was brought about obviously because of his judgment of their rebellion. Isaiah encouraged them by alluding to the Lord's loving concern for them, going beyond that of a devoted mother to their child. That they had suffered defeat wasn't a sign that he had forgotten them. That was a very powerful lesson that I even took in my own life, that sometimes when you fail at some things, you just think, oh, God wasn't in it, God wasn't there. That's not always the case. As we can see here, the Israelites suffered defeat, but God was still with them. Chapter 50 was a beautiful prophecy of Jesus Christ. It pointed to Christ and his life on earth and his crucifixion. I was about to say crucifixion. We're actually just making up words. He is identified as the superior servant, Israel's hope, and the instrument of God's glory. Verses 10 to 11 paint a picture of a person who trusts God and is near to him versus one who doesn't. My takeaway from that verse was not to light my own way, but to trust in the light of God. Go back and read those verses and you'll see the thing about how, trusting in God is like letting God be your light, while the foolish person is one who puts a light on, like maybe lights a match or a torch to see their own way. It never ends well. So that verse was God calling them to trust in him. God's salvation will outlast the earth, which will wear out like a garment, and already is. From what we observe, this earth is like wearing out with all the climate change issues and everything that we're going through. God's fury was promised to be removed from Jerusalem, and he would redeem them. Chapters 52 and 53 are the final songs or poems of the servant, and clearly the pictures portraying the fulfillment and the life and the work of Jesus, the Messiah. Interesting facts. Chapter 53 is referred to as the forbidden chapter by some Jewish people. They don't even read it at all. It has been removed from some of their holy books because they don't believe, in Jesus as that servant. They still believe that it was referring to the children of Israel. The servant's humble beginning made his exaltation difficult to believe. He had no outward splendor that would be attractive to people. So Jesus wasn't necessarily attractive from what I understand, that people would be compelled to follow him. They did actually follow him because of his message and not because of his appearance. He was described as carrying the griefs and the sorrows of those who looked on him as rejected by God. He brought peace through his bloodshed, and this bloodshed was no ordinary thing. He was beaten beyond recognition for our sins. In 53:10-12, we learn that his defeat didn't result in defeat. It resulted in victory. He successfully completed the mission. The one who died would live again. And that is our hope as Christians. Now, here's what I learned about God from reading these chapters. Jesus died willingly for us, submitting to the plan of the Father. Revelations 13:8 says, let us know that it was God's plan. It doesn't say actually, it lets us know that it was God's plan from the beginning of the world, even before the earth was created, that Jesus will die. So like I said before many times, nothing that we do is a surprise to God. God isn't surprised or shocked or just makes things up along as we mess up. So he already knew, and this sacrifice was already in motion before the foundations of the earth. God doesn't just make up things as he goes. He has a plan for the things that we're going through, and we can always look forward to God for an expected end. Thank you for joining me today and sharing these lessons. We'll continue with the book of Isaiah, which we will soon be done with in a few days. So tomorrow will be 54 to 58. And I look forward to sharing my lessons with you.